Hey everyone, welcome to the video. This one we're going over my cheat sheet for tomorrow's NASCAR race at Martinsville Speedway, the first out of 500. Anyway, before we continue, if you leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. You also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. And if you're interested in the spreadsheet I build every single week for NASCAR, links available in the description below for my Patreon. Got rankings on there, projections, my Slack chat. And I know the season is ending soon, so I also do NBA and NFL if you're interested. So anyway, let's get into this video. So first off, we're going to go over some race and track info because we got to approach every single track different. So we have to have a strategy for it, and we'll go over that now. So this is the first out of 500. I did get that right. And we are at Martinsville Speedway. This is a short, flat track. This is also known as the paperclip because it looks like a paperclip. We got the long straightaways, and then we got the tight corners. And for the length of this, it's 0.526 miles, so pretty much half a mile, which is very short. It's the shortest on the series. We have 500 laps, which means Dominator points are going to be incredibly important heading into tomorrow. We have 375 Dominator points available, which is massive. And some strategy and tips for this racetrack. We want Dominators and lots of them. If you don't play a Dominator in your lineup, you're going to lose money. I'm telling you that right now. There's no way getting around that. You have to have Dominators. I'm not saying you have to play all the guys up front because guys starting in 10th through 15th or something, they can still get up front. But you guys need people that can dominate. You are not going to win if you just play place differential guys. And you're going to want 2 to 3 Dominators per lineup. You can't just have one. You will lose. You might not lose, but you're not going to win a tournament. You need 2 to 3. And also probably the most important thing for this track, we have an impound race. So if you guys don't know what that means, if you're new to the videos, if you're not new, you should know what this means by now. But that means the qualifying order is not set in stone. So if someone fails inspection tomorrow, they will get sent to the back and they will be scored as if they were not. They're going to be scored from their new starting spot. If it was a regular race and they say they started first and they lose their starting spot, and they go to the back and start in the back, they're still going to be scored as they were starting in first. Not the case this time. So if Hamlin, he's on the pole and he fails inspection, he will be starting like anywhere from 30 to 40. So just so you guys know, make sure you stay water, keep up on the news. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'll try to retweet any news if you don't know where to look for it. So anyway, that's what we're going to be rolling with for the strategy of this track. So let's go into the driver by driver breakdown. We'll talk about the guys I have interest in. And for the color coding, I have green as Dominators, blue as place differential guys, and then orange is the cheap guys. So let's get into it. So I know I have a lot of Dominators, but this is a heavy Dominator track, and there's a lot of guys that have Dominator potential here. So let's start off with Kyle Busch, as always, up top. 11,800 is the most expensive guy, and he qualified 13th. And let me tell you, this guy is awesome at Martinsville Speedway. Practice 1 was done really early in the morning, so I really don't care about Practice 1. So let's just look at Practice 2. I wasn't able to load up all the long run data, but I do remember some off the top of my head. But anyway, let's just roll with it. So Kyle Busch, he is great at Martinsville. If we look at his average DraftKings points per race here, it's 106, average drive rating of 125.4, which is best out of all drivers. Average finish of 2.4, which is incredibly elite. I mean, that is absolutely awesome. Top 500% of the time, obviously. So definitely like Kyle Busch. If you look at his average laps led here, it's 116 per race and then 60 fast laps per race. So Kyle Busch, he is a smash play if you can afford him, and he also gives you place differential upside as well. Now, he's been a little cold recently, but Kyle Busch, I think he's a fine play if you can afford him. Definitely get up front, gets you a little bit of place differential points, and you can dominate a race. It wouldn't surprise me if he led over 100, 200 laps. So, do like Kyle Busch. I do understand his price is hefty, and obviously if he doesn't dominate it, he's going to kill your lineups. So, there is a risk to that. But if you do believe he's going to dominate, I'd get him in your lineups, despite the high price tag. Martin Truex Jr., he qualified 3rd. He's 11,400, and I think he's a fantastic play too. He's been great at Martinsville. I know his average DraftKings points per race here looks very small compared to Kyle Busch, but almost everyone's is going to besides Brett Keselowski. So Truex is averaging 57 DraftKings points per race here, average finish of 6.6, which is obviously incredible. I believe it's the 3rd best out of all drivers. Does not have a win here in the past 5 races, but he's in the top 5 60% of the time, top 10 80% of the time. And as for average laps led per race here, not a lot, 13, then average fast laps of 28, average running position of 7.2. Still, he's right here, and if he's starting near the top, so if he can get past Denny Hamlin to start and not Chase Elliott because he's going to the back. So he's gonna be starting 2nd actually. So potentially because of inspection. But Martin Truex Jr. I think is an awesome play. If you want to split your ownership between him and Hamlin, I understand that because either one could get out to an early lead. So Martin Truex Jr. I think he's a fine play in his paint scheme that he has this week on his car. He tends to dominate all the time in that paint scheme. So maybe there's something to it. So do like Martin Truex Jr. Denny Hamlin on the pole. He's actually very good at Martinsville. Now he hasn't been that great in recent time. Not saying he's not been good, but he hasn't picked up a win is what I'm trying to say. But he's fantastic in Martinsville. Averaging 52.5 DraftKings points per race here, average driver rating of 100.8, average finish of 11.2, top 5 40% of the time, top 10 60% of the time. Obviously, that's great. Average lap sled of 32, average fast laps is 32, average lap sled is 35. He is starting on the pole. He's very good at Martinsville, and he's coming in hot. I mean, he's got a good shot at winning the championship this year. So Denny Hamlin, I like him a lot, starting on the pole. I think he can get you. I think he leads probably the first portion of this race, unless Martin Truex Jr. gets around him, then he just falls back. But I do like Hamlin's chance to dominate and get over 100 laps led, potentially. So Denny Hamlin, I think he's a fine play. Kevin Harvick, I know he's starting 22nd, and if this was a normal racetrack, we'd have a lot of Kevin Harvick. But starting 22nd in a race that I need dominators from, and I don't think he dominates this race, I'm probably going to have to pass it, qualifying 22nd. I don't think it gets up front and dominates, even though he's been fine here. He's averaging 40 DraftKings points per race, average driver rating of 92.8. But if you look at all these numbers compared to rest of the guys in this 10K and up tier, not as good as the rest of the guys, and I really don't think he's got dominator potential at this time out. So if I had to pick one guy to fade in this tier, it's going to be Kevin Harvick for me because I just don't think he gets up front. And if you're at that price tag, you have to get up front to pay off salary here. And Joey Logano, he qualified 10th, 10,100. I played a lot of him last time we were here because he was on the pole, and he absolutely sucked. It was his teammate, Brad Keselowski, that ended up dominating. But Joey Logano, I think, is another fine option. He actually has a win here in the past 5 races, averaging 62 DraftKings points per race, average driver rating of 107.6. He's in the top 5 40% of the time, top 10 60% of the time. Chances are he's going to move up, and there's a good chance he could get up front too. He's averaging 75 laps led per race here and 33 fast laps. So Joey Logano, I think he's a pretty good play if you want to play him. I think he's going to go a little bit lower owned because everyone's going to be on Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Denny Hamlin. Then they're probably going to drop down a little bit of a tier to maybe like Brad Keselowski, especially what he did last time out. So Joey Logano, I think he's a fantastic play. As for Chase Elliott, he is going to the rear because of an engine swap because of first practice, so I'm going to be fading him. I would have probably faded him anyway, 9,800, starting second because I would have thought Denny Hamlin would have jumped out to their lead. So Chase Elliott, he's a fade for me because he is starting 40th at the moment. And then Brad Keselowski, he qualified 15th, and if you guys didn't play Martinsville in the spring, he went absolutely nuclear. He led 456, I believe, out of the 500 laps, and if you didn't have him, you were not winning a tournament. He absolutely dominated, and that's why his 109 DraftKings points per race thing is so high, but he went absolutely nuts, absolutely dominated the race. And qualifying 15th, he's going to offer some place differential upside too, and he can definitely dominate here. He is very good at Martinsville, averaging 109 DraftKings points per race. Again, a little bit inflated, but average driver rating of 124.3, average finish of 4.2, which is second best, only behind Kyle Busch. He does have 2 wins in the past 5 races. He's in the top 5 80% of the time, top 10 100% of the time. And I know these average laps led and whatnot are going to be a little inflated, but averaging 142 laps led per race here, 67 fast laps, average running position of 4.6. Brad Keselowski is one of my favorite plays, and he comes in at 9,500, and he's got dominating potential. So Brad Keselowski makes a ton of sense to me this week. As for his practice, the practice didn't look that great, but still, it's Brad Keselowski at Martinsville. I like him at this price tag. And then his teammate Ryan Blaney at 9,300. I think he's been pretty interesting too. He's becoming one of the better, short track drivers, and he was really fast in practice. I believe he was second in the the 15, 20, 25 laps, something like that, only behind Eric Almirola. So he's got a fast car. So I do like Ryan Blaney. If you want to save some salary, I think he thinks he gets up front. I think he's going to be a little bit lower owned, but he's got potential here. He's in the top 5 40% of the time, top 10 60% of the time, average driver rating of 100, average finish of 12, which isn't great. But Ryan Blaney, I think he makes some sense this week. Kyle Larson, I'm going to pass. Not very good at Martinsville. Averaging 2.5 DraftKings points per race here, average finish of 25. Obviously, there's a little bit of skewed numbers there, but still, he is not very good here. He's in the top 15, 0% of the time, top 20, 60% of the time. He sucks at Martinsville. Not going to play him this week at 9,100. I'd rather play Ryan Blaney. Clint Boyer, though, he's very good at short tracks, and that would include Martinsville. He's averaging nearly 60 DraftKings points per race here, average driving of 104, average finish of 7.8. He does have a win here in the past 5 races. He's in the top 5 40% of the time, top 10 80% of the time. Clint Boyer, he makes some sense to me. He's able to get up front as well. Average running position of 8.4, which is very good. Averaging 26 fast laps per race here, and averaging 43 laps led. So Clint Boyer, I definitely like him this week. And that's going to be it for the dominators. And now we're going to get into some of the place differential guys. And I don't like Eric Jones this week. He's not very good at Martinsville. Kurt Busch, I know I have him as a place differential play, but I really don't think I'm going to end up with any of him because at 8,500, I don't know. I'm gonna be playing. I'm probably gonna have top heavy lineups if that makes sense. So I might have a couple scrubs in my lineup because I need guys that can dominate, and I will sacrifice some place differential points as long as I can lock in those dominator points. Because if you get a dominator at Martinsville, they can score over 100 points easily, and that's gonna be worth it. Just getting a scrub in your lineup that scores like 18 to 20 points. So Kurt Busch, I think he's gonna move up, but again, not in love with him just because of the price tag, and I need dominators. Alex Bowman, not my favorite play, but he's not too bad here. He's in the top 10 33% of the time, top 20 100% of the time. Chances are he's going to move up, but I don't really see him dominating. But if he can get a top 5, yeah, you'll probably be a little bit happy as long as you got your dominators in. Jimmy Johnson, he qualified 24th. Oops. And he's fine. He's averaging 40 DraftKings points per race. Your average finish of 15.6. But again, I wish he's not going to be able to dominate. And he's only in the top 15. He's not in the top 10 0% of the time in the past 5 races. Top 15 8% of the time. So chances are he's going to move up. But again, I'm probably going to have a top heavy approach. So I don't see myself really living in this 8K range. I'll probably be more in the low 7K range to 6K range because I'm going to be using a lot of 10K and up guys with some 9K guys. So it probably won't make sense for me to tell you guys to play all these guys in the 8K range because I probably can't afford them unless you're playing Clint Boyer. So Jimmy Johnson should move up, but not a core play for me. William Byron, going to pass on him. Matt DiBenedetto is awful at Martinsville. Eric Almirola, he's got a very, very fast car this week, but I don't see him dominating. He qualified 4th. Maybe he can hang in the top 10, but still at 7,600, I don't love it. But if he ended up getting up front somehow, he'll be great. But, he had a fast car in practice. He was like first in the 30 lap, 25, 20. He was blazing fast. But again, I don't love him. But if you want to take a dart throw, hope he gets up front somehow past Truex and Hamlin, which I don't really see happening. Yeah, it's not the worst in the world, but I don't really see him dominating. Ryan Newman, he qualified 27th. He's probably going to be a decent play. 7,500 doesn't break the bank, and he's pretty good at Martinsville, averaging 33 DraftKings points per race here. Average driver rating of 75. Obviously, isn't great, but he does have an average finish of 14.4. He's in the top 10 40% of the time. I like him here. If he gets a top 10 at Martinsville, qualifying 27th. Yeah, I think that's pretty good, and he's pretty affordable too, so I don't mind using him. Suarez, he qualified a little bit too high for me. He's not going to get up front. Paul Menard, he qualified 30th, and he's not that bad here at Martinsville either. He has an average finish of 17.8. He's in the top 15 40% of the time, averaging 30 DraftKings points per race here. Yeah, I don't mind him. I think he's a fine play. Stenhouse, no thank you. But he's not the worst play in the world, but he qualified 16th. If he was like in the 20s, I'd like that because he is in the top 10 40% of the time. But 16th, I might have to pass there. But I wouldn't mind if you're doing a whole bunch of lineups to get a little bit of exposure to him because I don't think he's going to absolutely suck. But I just hate trusting Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Chris Buescher, he qualified 20th. I have him as a place differential guy, but I don't like him that much. He's in the top 15, 40% of the time, which isn't terrible, but it's kind of a whatever play. He fits the end of my lineup. Austin Dillon, I hate Austin Dillon, but unfortunately he's okay at Martinsville. He's not complete trash. Qualified 23rd, average DraftKings points per race here of 36, which isn't bad. Average driver rating of 75. He's in the top 5 20% of the time, top 10 20, top 15 60% of the time. I like his chances to move up, and he is pretty affordable, so I wouldn't hate if you used him. Ryan Preece did very well in his first race here. He finished 16th, but he's kind of a whatever guy. Daniel Hemrick, a little bit too high for me. Ty Dillon, he's pretty cheap this week. He qualified 29th. I expect him to have some ownership because he does have upside. He's not like a complete scrub driver, and he's priced a little bit incorrectly, I think. Average finish of 20.6 here. He's in the top 15, 40% of the time. So Ty Dillon, he's probably my favorite place differential guy just based off of price and a little bit of talent. He's not the worst driver in the world. So do like Ty Dillon. He's going to fit in your lineups nicely, and he's not a complete scrub. So you could potentially get a top 15, which I will take. Bubba Wallace, not that great in Martinsville, so I'd rather play Ty Dillon for 100 more. Michael McDowell, he qualified 5th. Get out of here. David Reagan, 17th. No thank you. Unless these guys go to the back, then I'll have interest, but as of right now, I don't know. And then really, all these cheap guys sucked. Matt Tipton had Crafton racing for him. But Corey LaJoie and Ross Chastain, they're okay, I guess. I'm hoping some other guys go to the back and we have some better cheap guys. But if McDowell goes to the back or Reagan, that'd be fantastic. So just hope for them to fail inspection. Then we got some good cheap guys. But Corey LaJoie qualified 28th. He's not the worst driver in the world. He's been okay this season. Ross Chastain, I don't love him either, but he qualified 36. Average finish of 30. I'll take a couple spots as long as I lock up my dominators. And I think that's going to be it. I really don't want to talk about anyone else. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. If it was helpful, remember to leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. Also, follow me on Twitter at ChrisPinell16. If you're interested in the spreadsheets I build every single week or every day for whatever sport, links available in the description below for my Patreon. And I'll see you guys in the next video, and I wish you guys the best of luck, and make sure you guys look for news on inspection.